Seeing her coming out of the darkness like a ghost ship still gets me every time. To see the sad ruin of the great ship sitting there where she landed at 2:30 in the morning on April 14th, 1912, after her long fall from the world above. All right, enough of that bullshit. Welcome, everyone, to a special episode of The Cool Kids, suggested by me. And I would like to thank Devin and everyone else once again for the opportunity to do this one, because this is a special one for me. But before we get into everything, how is everybody doing today?
I'm recovering from
Fine.
my tattoo.
Ooh,
Fine.
yep.
I'm doing good.
It's an awesome tattoo, too. Tattoo, too. Yep. Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
That's a good episode also.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We got Austin in the chat. What up? What up? So, I honestly do not even know where to begin because I'm just going to get right into it. James Cameron's Titanic is my favorite film of all time. And when I heard that this was going to be returning to theaters for its 25th anniversary, I was hoping that it would finally get to my theater for this so I could see it. It did. And frankly, I was ecstatic. So, but I got to say too, to kind of start my review. Or actually before I start my review, I actually want to ask what everyone's background is, like not just the movie, but like what they know about the history and the ship and all that. So I'll actually kind of go around the table, real quick before we do, and then we will start our reviews. I will actually go last, and I will start with Devin.
So I remember reading about the Titanic when I was in 5th grade. And I found it to be very interesting. Actually, my introduction to it was this like children's 3D book about the Titanic being haunted. And the movie, I didn't see the movie until I first watched the movie when I was either 12 or 13 because it was playing on TBS, and I fell asleep. It was a school night!
Time's up!
It was a school night, all right? Give me a break.
Yeah, it's all cool, but I did not even know about that.
Yeah, that's like my little history with Titanic.
Alrighty, Rob.
Not much, but
Oh, is it my turn? Okay. So my history with the knowledge of Titanic is honestly I mean, obviously we talked about it like in school and all. But I know the one thing my dad was actually a big history guy. He loved talking about things with history. And one thing that he would always tell me is that he loved telling me things that happened around his birthday. And he said that his birthday is April 14th, and that was around when the Titanic sunk. So I know that he loved bringing that up all the time. And are we just talking about just the history of it, or are we talking about the movie?
Oh, like the knowledge, real quick, and then we'll each.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's mainly through school, and like I said, my dad, he loved bringing up how when the Titanic sinking around his birthday, and just give me knowledge about it. So, but I'll talk more about the movie later. So
excellent.
Yeah.
John.
I don't remember learning about it in school necessarily. It was mainly the people around me that like kind of taught me about the Titanic. Like my mom is a history major, so she like kind of taught me about it because I don't know if it was right before. I think it was because the thing is, I was a kid when I think James Cameron's documentary about the Titanic came out, and I also had like a 3D book on the Titanic. I don't know if it was the same one as Devin's, but it might have been. Um, but yeah, I remember having that, and like I think I had like a cousin who was also really big into Titanic stuff. So like I learned about some stuff through him. But it was like general knowledge, like, and I knew of the movie. I never watched it until years later, but I knew of it. But in terms of like the knowledge, it was like mainly through family and friends that like mainly family that like kind of taught me about it, and I was like kind of aware of it. And that kind of thing. And I don't think I ever watched the documentary, but like I remember like I remember like seeing stuff about it, like I remember vividly about because that was like his big thing, because it was pretty much James Cameron waiting for the technology to catch up so he could make Avatar. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna make some Titanic documentaries in the meantime. So I remember the documentary a lot more than the movie, because I mean I was born the same year it came out. So yeah, it was like kind of I remember the documentary about it very no, I wouldn't say vividly, but I do remember a lot about it.
Awesome, awesome. And then I guess to kick off my knowledge, I'll get onto that, and then I'll just go right into my review, and then we will all go around giving our thoughts. So, Titanic. Honestly, a movie more so than any other where just the mere thought of reviewing it, I am like, what the hell can I even say? How do I do this masterpiece, this spectacle justice with my words? I'll just start off right now. Like when I was a kid, I guess like a lot of kids, I got into the history of Titanic in elementary school. I was little when I started getting into this shit. Like I would always check out any book I could get my hands on. Like every time I was in the library, and I would check them out over and over and over again. So eventually, mom knew that I was getting into it, so she showed me the movie. Hi, mom. And the rest is history. I owe everything as far as my movie fandom to this movie. My passion for film, cinema, you wanting to talk movies and review them. I owe it all to Titanic. It is so much so that I own more copies of this movie than any other. I got Blu-ray, Blu-ray 3D actually. It was a hell of a find. I've got the classic two-piece VHS and the re-release DVD. So I'm a big fan of this. And when I was little, well, not little, I even made a model out of Legos. Took me.
What is actually? Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but what is that? What is that in the background? It looks like a laser disc or like a mini poster.
Oh, it's the poster.
Oh, it's a poster. I don't know
Awesome.
why. I
Yep.
don't know why I thought that was a laser disc.
I am trying to find a laser disc and see if there is one, but yeah, this took me 2 weeks to make. So yep, I'm a big fanatic of this. Not just the movie, but the lore and the actual history. So again, I do not know how to start, but I'm going to do my best. Every aspect of Titanic is worthy of praise. The acting is perfect. The sets are perfect. The way it looks, the characters. Every frame and second of this movie, to me, is pure perfection. And this is more, I guess this will be more of a me thing, but the one thing I love so much about this movie is the historical accuracy. Not to say that there isn't anything fictional, there's fictional characters they put into it and gave them their own little plot lines. But what I love with how they worked around that is that even if there's fictional people and they're interacting with the real people and real events that happened, it doesn't jeopardize the history or change anything, unlike someone else I know. But that's for another stream. So I love that they did that because I figure you could just keep it just about the fiction, the historical people, right? Like A Night to Remember did. But I think that was brilliant the way they did that. Make your own fictional characters and but it just doesn't jeopardize history. The other thing that is most praiseworthy about this film is the visuals. Holy hell, these are still the greatest practical effects, or just effects in general, that I've ever seen in any movie. They still hold up perfectly. Like it could look like a movie made today. Because they always say with any movie, like say if it's an adaptation of books like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, like how it really feels like you're watching it brought to life and all that. But with Titanic, it's a special, different kind of way I would describe it. This film takes me on a journey every single time, and the effect has never worn off. I, honest to God, sometimes forget that I'm watching the movie. I get so sucked in, and it really, honest to God, feels like the events brought to life. I cannot put it into words how good that aspect of the movie is. And then, of course, the score by James Horner, which it's actually an interesting thing about the score. Even if Titanic wasn't my favorite movie of all time, if I didn't like it that much, if I didn't hold it to that high a regard, I would probably still say this is the greatest score ever composed for a movie. It's grand, it's epic, and it captures the awe and the majesty of what this is supposed to be. The the happiness and the confidence of the ship's maiden voyage, how happy everything is in the beginning. And then when it gets when the tone changes halfway through with the iceberg, the tone changes perfectly and it never felt inconsistent. And then there's the characters, both fictional and historical. Everybody is great. The acting is great. They're written terrifically. This is something you may not have known about the production of the movie, but not just with the main characters and then how they casted the historical people we know, like the captain and Molly Brown. Every single extra in this movie that James Cameron casted for the movie, just all the random backgrounds, he gave every single person on set their own background as someone who was on the ship. So it wasn't just like, oh, just random backgrounds for the set. He gave them their own actual personal backgrounds of people that were on the ship. And it just shows just how meticulously and just how how perfect he wanted everything to be. James Cameron is a perfectionist. Whether sometimes that could be for better or worse, you got to give credit to the guy. He knows his shit. So I could honestly go on for hours about how much this movie means to me, but I'm not going to waste any more time. I will let everyone else go into their thoughts on the movie, but for me, this is a masterclass in cinema. Perfect in execution, meticulous in how it's written and put together. And I'm going to get into it more once we all start talking about it. So for me, Titanic is perfection. It is an A plus and a 9 and a 10 out of 10. Mic drop. And I will now hand it off to Devin.
All right, Zach. I know you were mad when I said I fell asleep when I first watched it, but hear me out. After I ended up falling asleep that one school, and I didn't really have any interest in revisiting it until this review. So I decided to, instead of go seeing it in theaters, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna buy the Blu-ray. I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray and watch it with fresh new eyes. And now that I have seen the original highest grossing film of all time before it was beaten by Avatar and Avengers Endgame, what did I think? I thought it was good. Not amazing. Not my favorite movie of all time. But it's good. Visually, this movie still holds up. James Cameron did a phenomenal job directing this movie. He put his heart and soul into this film, and it shows. There is, like, it is well shot throughout. There is not a single shot in this movie that does not look great. The ship looks incredible. He did such an amazing job reconstructing the ship, and correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 90%, right? 90%. Okay. The acting, with the exception of one actor I will get into later, is great. I loved Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet as Jack and Rose. They had great chemistry together. I bought their romance, and I found it to be very sweet and very genuine. The score in this movie is beautiful. James Horner really did a great job composing this movie, and he also did Avatar and Aliens and The Amazing Spider-Man. Because like a lot of the songs that stick out to me is The Dream. Like the song that plays at the very end of the movie just gives me goosebumps. The song that plays at the end credits, My Heart Will Go On by Celine Dion. Even though I'm not a Celine Dion fan, that's a great fucking song. I really liked the first half of the movie with Jack and Rose falling in love. There was a lot of scenes that had me where I was smiling or at points even laughing. It's paced very well. It goes by very fast. I really like the themes of social class and gender roles. And James does not beat you over the head with these themes, unlike a lot of movies do now. Men. She-Hulk.
Men.
And
Man.
lastly, while I do have issues with the second, while I do have some issues with the second half of the movie, there are plenty of effective moments, such as Jack dying, which, god damn, that was sad. The people, the ship falling, the ship starting to fall apart, it flooding, and people running away. The people in the boats rowing past all those dead people, especially the dead mother holding a dead baby. Like, god damn. And then you have the ending, which this is my theory. I don't know if this is what James intended. I don't know if anyone else thinks of this. But when Rose died peacefully in her sleep, and you see all those pictures of all those things she promised to Jack, and then she reunites with him in the afterlife with all the dead passengers, I thought that was beautiful, and even then, like it's still like stuck with me. Now, why don't I love this movie? Remember when I said I was more invested in the first half? I say that because once the ship starts sinking, that's where where it loses me. It drags and goes on for too goddamn long. Yes, it's intense in spots, but it can be boring in spots as well. There is also a lot of unnecessarily comedic moments as if this is an MCU movie. Like the guy telling Jack and Rose, you gotta pay, you broke that door, you gotta pay for that door, and then telling him to shut up. Like, who cares about the door? The ship is sinking. You're all going to die. It's falling apart. Who cares about the door? Like, it killed the tension, and I hate when movies do that. And there's way too much like running back and forth, and it makes it drag on even longer. Like, wait, let's go. Oh wait, we gotta go back for this. Oh wait, we gotta run back and get this. Oh wait, I gotta run back for Jack. Wait, I gotta run back for Rose. Gotta go. I'm like, my god, come on. This does not need to be this long. Like, come on, James. While I do like the themes of social class, some of the rich people come off as too unlikable. And I'm not talking Kathy Bates as Molly Brown, right?
Yeah, Molly Brown.
I'm not talking about her. I liked her. I'm talking
I think
like
that was
Rose.
the point.
I'm talking like Rose's mother. And you know how I said the acting for the most part was great? Billy Zane is terrible in this. And this leads me to a question I have. You're doing a movie about the Titanic. Why do we need a villain? And like he's not even an interesting character. He's bland and he's boring. I've said Quidditch from Avatar was a bland villain. At least you had Stephen Lang kicking ass in the role. I don't hate Billy Zane, but he did not work for me in this movie. But I think it's a bit overrated. Does Titanic hold up as a good movie? My answer to that question is yes. There is a lot right in this movie than there is wrong. I can't say it's better than both Terminator movies, but I can definitely say it's better than both Avatar movies. And with that, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. And I know my heart will go on.
And because Devin said nothing negative about this, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do it again. All opinions are welcome in the Cool Kid streams. Alrighty. Right, dude. It is on to you.
Okay, my turn, huh? Well, let me go ahead and just give, before I start my review, let me state just my history of this movie. I think I was going to say I was the only one here that actually experienced hype, but I guess someone here has joined me on that.
Mark!
Mark, what's up, Mark?
What's up, fellas?
Okay. Well, as I was saying, I actually do remember the hype for this movie, even though I was only like 8 years old, getting close to 9 years old at the time. I do remember how hyped and how big this movie was. Sadly, though, I did not see it in theaters, but I was able to borrow a copy of a friend who actually had the VHS. I borrowed her copy. She lived down the street from me. And Zach, you probably want to have your finger hovering over the fan zone button for this. But back then, even at the age of 9, I thought it was boring. But then again,
time's up.
Oops.
Well, keep in mind, I was 8 or 9 years old at the time. But here's the thing. I didn't have the best taste back in the day. None of us did, let's face it.
Do I have good taste?
I did.
Well, yeah. But I'm saying, like, that as a kid, I didn't have the best taste. But then again, I tried watching it years later as when I was in high school, and sadly, I still couldn't get into it. But hey, before you fans on me yet again, just let me state something. Well, I watched it again recently because I promised Zach that we would do a Cool Kids review of this, and I did it for him. So I didn't see it in theaters for the 25th anniversary, but I did rent it on Vudu because I did promise I would give it, and I tried to give it a third chance, or I was giving it a third chance, and I was saying, okay, this time I'm going to be as fair as possible. And after seeing it, I will say that I am able to appreciate things a lot better from a critical eye and a filmmaking perspective. And I will say I did enjoy this movie a lot more than the first 2 times. So, with that being said, even though it's a good movie and I recommend it, I still find it overrated. Okay, for the
Dr. Octagonopus.
Yay, I'm not Phantom Zoned. Okay, so, just for the record, overrated does not mean bad, okay? It's a good movie, I just don't think it's a masterpiece like many people are making it out to be. Let me state the positives. Before I start pissing off Zach, let me go ahead and state that this film is very well made. The cinematography is well done, the lighting, the production design. I mean, watching this movie for the third time, I felt like I was walking on. I just went back in time to, was it 1910s, and I just walked on. Yeah,
specifically.
Yeah, 1912, and I felt like I just walked onto the Titanic. It looks amazing, and the visual effects are very well done. I mean, yeah, there's probably a few noticeable green screen effects, but I mean, this was 1997. This was the 90s, so I mean, I guess it could be forgiven. Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, they do excellent jobs with their roles and their performance. Why I didn't like DiCaprio when I was a dumb teenager, I don't know. But then again, I think I just answered my own question. I was a dumb teenager. Both Rose and Jack have excellent chemistry. The score is very well done. It's very well composed, and the ending is very heartbreaking. And I really love the relationship and connection between Jack and Rose. Like I said, they have excellent chemistry, and you feel that their love. You feel like that these two are very well in love. So those are some of the those movies are very well done. Now, while I have many praises for this film, I still find it difficult for me to call this movie great due to some serious issues I may have with it. First of all, I thought the third act, just like what Devin said, the sinking of the ship went on for too long. It just felt like needless padding. I mean, it just keeps going. Like they have to keep going up and down. It just like get on with it. I had to make a Monty Python joke. Come on.
Yes, get on with it.
Okay. Yeah, we know the ship is sinking, but why are we spending so much time on just back and forth shit? You know, we don't need to spend this much time. And another thing I have an issue with is the villain, Caldon. I think that's what his name is, Caldon, who is Rose's snobby. Yeah. I mean, I thought Billy Zane did all right, but the thing is, at least for what he was given, I would more blame the writing of his character, though. I need to ask, why do we need a villain in a movie about the sinking of the Titanic? I mean, I understand with movies you always need conflict. In fact, I mean, the whole point of second act, I mean, confrontation. You have to have conflicts in movies. Otherwise, it's not a movie. However, wasn't the iceberg sinking the Titanic not a good enough conflict for James Cameron? Also, it just seems like Billy Zane's character, he just doesn't have much of a character other than rich, snooty asshole that's just jealous of Jack. I mean, why do we need these kinds of villains in movies? I'm just saying in movies in general. He just seems more like an additional obstacle than an actual character. So I've gone on for long enough. Despite my issues, I still enjoy this movie. It's good, but not great. If they had fixed some of the issues with the third act and got rid of the unnecessary villain, I felt like this. I would have no doubt this would be a much better film. If you really want to go see it, go check it out. I know many people will say that this is one of James Cameron's best, but for me, just give me Terminator 2 any day. And my rating is a 7 out of 10.
Zach, you're muted.
We will hand it off to the geek informant.
Okay. I'm probably not after the two people that rewatched the movie. I didn't rewatch the movie. I just didn't have the time to. But I do remember it. I watched it. The first time I did watch it was when it initially came out in theaters, the Titanic 3D thing. I remember seeing it with my dad. I'm like, yeah, might as well the first time I see it, I go watch it in theaters, and it was pretty good. Like it's definitely for me one of James Cameron's weaker movies. I like to shit on it a lot just because my sisters love it, so I like to make fun of them for it. But outside of that, I don't hate the movie. It's perfectly fine. It's a good movie. I think Leo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, they're very good. They play off on each other very well. The chemistry is very good. It's not like one of the best romances ever in a movie, but I will give them that they had good chemistry. I thought all of them, I mean, Kathy Bates was a very memorable character as the unsinkable Molly Brown. She like the whole point of her kind of, well, I wouldn't say the whole point, but like her character being like the one rich person that you actually like. And I felt that was kind of maybe a little bit stupid, because it's like it's just like come on, not every rich person on this fucking boat was a total dickwad. But That was good. I mean, the visuals are very good. But honestly, I felt that some of the CGI is a little bit dodgy. Looking back now, which is ironic considering that Terminator 2's effects are much better and have aged flawlessly, yet those came out 6 years before. So do with that with what you will. Um, but it's still very good. Like the visuals are still very good. What else? I mean, the story's fine. Like I don't remember I don't remember like specific emotions and specific like story beats of like how I felt during this specific thing. I guess it runs for a little bit too long, kind of going back and forth of the ship sinking. I don't remember watching the movie and being like, wow, this really takes forever. I just remember seeing the movie and liking. I don't remember like specific notes of certain things. Here's the thing. I understand why people don't like Calvin, I think his name was, Billy Zane. I get it, but the thing is, normally I'd say yes, the iceberg is enough of a villain. But the thing is, they're adding the fictional romance. So add a fictional villain for the fictional romance. Cause like that's kind of the whole point. For the overarching story of the historical event, yes, the iceberg works, but you're having this small knit personal romance story within the fictional event. There needs to be some conflict for that specific thing. So it feels more personal. It feels a little, I wouldn't want to say relatable, but it feels more personal. So that's because that's why people were so attached to this. It wasn't just A Night to Remember, where it was this event happening. Not saying that's bad. I've heard great things about it, but the reason that so many people and why this started like a subgenre for at least through the late 90s and early 2000s, like with to a much lesser extent Pearl Harbor and a much better extent Enemy at the Gates. I like in terms of that, I highly recommend Enemy at the Gates as well. It kind of has that similar like Titanic thing, personal love story with a huge event, with that being like Battle of Leningrad and that whole thing. But I get why there was a villain. Yeah, I know Pearl Harbor fucking blows, but I'm just giving examples. Like this hit a mark in the industry. It became beloved. It was the highest grossing movie until Avatar. So like I get why James Cameron felt he needed to add that small knit villain for the personal story. It added to it. Was he a good character? No. Was he written well? Not really. But I get why that it wasn't like, why is there a villain? I get why there's a villain. There is a villain because there needed to be the conflict for this story. And that's why at least it kind of sort of a little bit works. I didn't mind Billy Zane. I thought he did a fine job. I thought he was okay. I don't hate him or anything. I think he's a pretty decent actor. Um but he is, I will agree with more so Rob how I blame the writing more so than anything, because he is just rich asshole, which kind of blends in with all of the other rich people in the movie who are also rich assholes outside of Molly Brown. So it's like you could have even had the villain just be her mother. Like that could have been a good enough conflict as well, if we're adding that personal conflict and not just the iceberg. Um, but so there's all of that. Probably the best thing about the movie, probably Kate Winslet's tits, but outside of that, uh, um, but I gotta add the perviness. Mark can't be the only pervert here. So but kidding aside, it was like like romance was good, personal story was good, overarching event was well captured. I thought like I wouldn't say like there's nothing really to me overwhelmingly negative about it. Like I don't hate any aspect of this movie. Could maybe the pacing, but even then it's not like Ad Astra or anything like that where it's like, oh my god, just fucking shoot me, this pacing is so bad. It's just a good romance showcasing a really interesting event with what actually happened, with some good visuals, some good acting, and a believable love story, all that stuff. So yeah, it's again, I've probably rambled on a bit too much, so I'll just say this: Titanic is a good movie, not as good as literally all the movies James Cameron made before this, but you know, it's still a perfectly fine movie. With that, I give it a 7 out of 10.
And we were recently joined by Mark. Thanks for being on, Mark. And with that, we will immediately pass it to you.
The unsinkable Mark Thompson.
That's right. Well, I mean, I like the film when I didn't expect to because I mean, I remember like my buddy Rob up there, right, the right dude. Yeah, he's right. I remember the hype for this film, and it was freaking massive. And I also remember specifically, it was mainly a female-dominated film. Unlike most blockbusters, this was actually a female-driven film. They made up the vast majority of the audience. They were the ones going to see it 12, 13, 14 times and driving this thing to $2 billion. So James Cameron owes a lot to them. So, but I did go to see it in the theater, and yeah, I actually thought it was really good. I was pleasantly surprised, mainly because even though I wasn't, I thought I might not like it because the romance angle, but I mean, they actually did have really good chemistry because it's just typically not my thing, but they actually did have really good chemistry. They had good chemistry. The acting was really good, of course. The acting was fantastic. So Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, and they really did have great chemistry. They reunited, some 11 years later, Revolutionary Road. So kind of really jump-started both their career. Well, I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio is already well known, but I mean, but that was still a huge moment in his career. So, I mean, but I mean, honestly, that's really the first film I remember really liking him in because I never did see What's Eating Gilbert Grape, and I just didn't like him before that because I mean, he just seemed another little like Disney Channel or Nickelodeon brat or something like that. I'm like, hey, he's just. I didn't like how women would fawn over this guy. I mean, women were doing the same thing some creepy guys do, like counting down the days until this guy turned 18. I'm like, oh dear God, Jesus Christ! The same thing guys did with Natalie Portman, counting down the days until she turned 18, and Britney Spears. So I mean, but either way, this was the first film where I really was like, okay, yeah, I gotta admit, he's a good actor. Yeah. But I thought the acting was really good. The cinematography by Russell Carpenter and John M. Stevens was fantastic. I mean, it won the Academy Award for a reason. Same with the score by James Horner was also fantastic. So another reason I was interested, though, was because I've always been interested in the history of the Titanic. I had been at the time. The film kind of, I won't say cured me of that because I mean it acts like I'm just, but it's kind of like that was kind of the end of my obsession with it because I guess it was kind of like the culmination of it. But I had always been kind of fascinated, even from as a little kid, with the Titanic sinking. So, but I thought it was a very, very good recreation. I think the visual effects hold up because I mean the thing is you're comparing it to Terminator 2. You're comparing it to the fucking best. If you compare anything to Terminator 2, it's going to fucking look bad. I mean, come on. You compare most of the stuff nowadays to Terminator 2 and it looks bad. I mean, there's no way around that. So he built a 90% scale mock-up of the damn boat to build the thing. He actually used this was not all CGI. He did a combination of practical effect and CGI. And I think that's largely why the effects hold up. But I mean, I did think there were some problems in the story. I agree. I didn't think Billy Zane was necessary or that good in the part. I mean, he's not looking back. I don't think he's maybe not as bad as I thought he was because he did. I did hate him. So I mean, I have to say he did make me hate him. So I mean, he did get a good job in that respect. But I mean, at the same time, I just thought it was really stupid. I remember at the time thinking it was really stupid. I stand by this that he actually refused to get on the boat, on the lifeboat, just to go look for Rose. I'm like, there's no damn way. There's no damn way. It didn't even bother. And I get what John's saying about the rich characters all being kind of one dimensional, except for Molly Brown. But at the same time, honestly, this was the time when, this was a time of social Darwinism and eugenics in 1912. So most of them really probably would have had those kind of attitudes about poor people. So, I mean, but even at the time, I do remember, I think some historians point out he did kind of go a little overboard with that. But at the same time, it's not entirely unwarranted. So, but at the same time, I just thought he was kind of campy. Billy Zane in the role. I don't think he's that good of an actor. And I don't think you necessarily need him. I understand what John's saying. He made a good point that, that you have to have a romance. And he's right. He's right. The romance, you had to have that romance because that romance angle is what brought everybody in. If it had without the romance, it would not have made anywhere near 2 billion, probably not even 1 billion. But I mean, that's what really brought everybody in. It kept women coming to this thing. So overall, it's a solid film. It's a good film. It's not one of his best. I mean, it's not up there in the top tier with, it's not there in the top tier with Terminator, Terminator 2, and Aliens. But I still say it's good film, solid film. So I give him 7.5.
Hey, we got the same rating. I don't know.
Right.
Love that tattoo, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Nosferatu, baby. Oh, it already got it colored in. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I don't know if it's just me that thought this. Why does Billy Zane look like he was wearing eyeliner?
Maybe
He looks like he's wearing eyeliner.
Accentuate. I don't know.
I was gonna make a joke and say maybe he thought he was filming a sequel to The Phantom. I don't know if anybody else remembers that movie.
No, he was doing his Billy Joe Armstrong cosplay, and he forgot to take the makeup off.
Ooh,
This is a good question.
Ooh, I already know what my number one is easily.
Yeah,
Terminator 2, 1, Aliens. Boom, boom, boom. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what most people are that's pretty much the top 3 of almost any James Cameron fan are those 3, but in a different order. Not saying True Lies is bad or anything, but True Lies is amazing. I haven't seen The Abyss yet, but
I haven't seen True Lies.
you gotta watch True Lies. It's so funny.
I haven't seen it either.
A lot of fun.
What the fuck?
Yeah, my number 1 goes without saying.
Yeah.
My number 2 would probably be Aliens, just because Alien is one of my favorite horror franchises, and then Terminator 2. Like, how can that not be in anyone's favorite?
I think the ones I named honestly would still be mine, not necessarily in that order. Probably Terminator 2. Although Aliens, I flip flop back and forth between Terminator 2 and Aliens because I love Aliens so much.
For me,
Terminator as well. I mean,
yeah. For me, it would easily be Terminator 2 is easily Terminator 2 is not only my favorite James Cameron film, but it's also my favorite sci-fi movie and one of my favorite movies, period. But that's easily number 1. Number 2 would probably be Aliens, and then number 3 would be the first Terminator.
Yeah, mine's the same. Mine's the same as Rob's, and my least favorite would probably be Avatar.
Yeah,
nice.
Mm.
But now there's actually a few other kind of categories I kind of want to talk about, and maybe some things you may not have known about this film as far as the production, things that were cut or things like that. Talk about that for a bit. If you guys, because some of you guys felt like the second part with the sinking dragged on too long and you felt the film was unnecessary, wait till you hear this. You know the bit where Cal grabs the gun, tries to murder them, chases
Yeah.
them down below.
Mhm.
There was a 5-minute deleted scene cut because like they get away. He has no more ammo. It's like, I hope you enjoy your time together. It was going to cut to him because he had that bodyguard of his. He's like, I'll give the diamond to you if you can get it. So that guy goes after them, and the dining room's flooding, and it leads to a fight scene between him and Jack. And it actually leads to a payoff from a point earlier where he gut punched Jack and just left him for dead in the room. It's like compliments of Mr. Kaladin Hockley. So this deleted scene would have led to kind of a payoff of that, where like he obviously overpowers the guy and he's like compliments of the Chippewa Falls Dawsons and just whoops his ass.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I thought Kathy Bates is. I got to say, I thought Kathy Bates was really good as the unsinkable Molly Brown.
She was.
Yeah, she was.
I mean,
She
it's
was.
Kathy Bates.
Yeah, of course.
She was really likable, and I actually do think a lot of the other real historical people were really likable. Like the captain, I thought was great. Not just the casting, but I don't think he was unlikable at all. And then Thomas Andrews was really good. I actually liked the kind of.
I think it was the Astors. Jacob Astor and his wife.
Whoever Victor Garber played, he was pretty good.
John Jacob.
The ones who the husband and wife, the old couple who were there. That was a true story. And that was
another.
They chose to stay together. She could have left, and she chose to stay with him.
Yep. And that was also another deleted scene cut from the film where they show that happening. We've been together.
I remember that happening. Wait a second. I remember that happening.
No, it's a deleted scene. It's on the Blu-ray.
I remember them. Well, I mean, I remember seeing them on the bed. It's just cuddling together, hugging together as the water comes in. It's just that's freaking heartbreaking.
Oh, it is.
Oh yeah.
And I thought the sinking of the ship was done extremely well. Like especially once they're in the water and you hear the screams. Because what a lot of people didn't realize, is it wasn't. They didn't all drown. What killed them was the cold. They said they were frozen to death. I mean, that's just the most frightening thing. And the screams were just inhuman. That's one of the most unnerving scenes I've ever seen in the movie.
And it's like I honestly don't think the sinking drags on too long at all. I feel like it really needed to take up as much of the film as it did because that's the thing,
Yeah.
So I feel like if it was just like 30 minutes, 15 minutes or so, like it really rushes it like a lot of other Titanic movies did. I don't think it would have had as much weight to it, So it took its time and it really showed the perspective of what the first class are doing, and then how the third class, I guess the peasants, as you will, are trying to get them.
And I just think that but I mean I do think it's ironic though that the film is longer than it took the ship to sink.
Because the ship. Because from what I read, the ship lasted about 2 hours and 40 minutes.
And that's actually the timestamp that the ship sinks. The film as a whole, at the 2 hour, 43 minute mark, I think is when the ship goes down. Yeah. And I think James Cameron was actually intentionally editing it that way so it would kind of mark up to that timestamp.
Yeah, because it's like poetry, it rhymes.
It's like poetry, sort of rhymes.
When Cameron, one of the things I love about Cameron was he does something, he does not half-ass it. I mean, like he was really like into the Titanic, and he was really big into helping to explore the Titanic and everything, because I mean, they did a lot of groundbreaking research on it at that time, like they found out a lot of things like the metal they used was actually inferior grade, so I mean.
The Titanic, built by the Irish, sunk by the English.
Yeah, it's an Irish ship. No, it was built in Ireland. 15,000 Irishmen built this ship. Solid as a rock. Big Irish hands.
Yeah, my mom says that all the time.
Irish,
so.
Now, do you guys... I brought this up earlier at the ending. Do you guys think Rose actually died at the end, or do you think she was just...
Oh, I'm sure she... Yeah. I mean, that's what I thought, too.
No, it was all a dream. Actually, the ending scene was her actually meeting him, and the whole movie was a dream.
Sure, why not?
But yeah,
What a twist!
like a whole damn season of Dallas.
I imagine if M. Night Shyamalan directed this movie, that would be a twist, I'm sure.
Oh God.
Yep, and it'll be, and we'll go with John's idea. It was a dream all along. Fooled you.
Wait,
But yeah.
I don't promise you'll go on for me, Rose. I won't let go, Jack.
And then
Jack!
she doesn't let go, and it turns into a weird indie horror movie.
Jack? What? No!
What? No! What's going on? And then the ship sinks, and she's like, "What? What's going on?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Come on, you know we can't talk about Shyamalan without
John-
making that quote."
And
Yeah.
then John Leguizamo says by, "Hey, let me tell you, let me settle you down with a math problem."
Yeah, I know the ship is sinking.
Oh,
But
like-
here, let me
like-
tell you what the math. Let me help you with the math problem.
Oh,
Let me settle you down with a
like
math
that's what
problem.
Thomas Andrews would say because they're assessing the damage, right? And he says the ship is going to sink. It's a mathematical certainty.
But like, because I'm pretty sure James left the ending open to like interpretation. Like, oh,
Mhm.
do you think she's dreaming? Do you think she's dead? Personally, I think she. Personally, for me, I think she died. I mean, she was over
I
100
always
years
thought it
old.
was-
Exactly.
That Punisher was lived to be 100.
That's
I
exactly.
didn't think
That's
it
what
was
I
that.
thought. That's what I thought too. Because it's
Mhm.
like when they went to go search for the ruins of the ship, that took place in 1997, right? Or was it 1996?
1996.
1996. So then, if the Titanic sunk in 1912,
Yep.
then that means that it would have been 84 years old, and she was like what? How old?
17.
Was,
She was
17.
17.
So she would have been over 100 years old.
Yep.
She was exactly 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So but man, I just
Which
gotta.
means he was 16 actually.
But I just gotta say though,
Jack,
Ah!
please take a seat. Why don't you take a seat right over there?
Oh my
Jack,
God!
why don't you take
oh
a
my
seat?
God.
Put it right over there.
Although,
DiCaprio,
do
you
you-
were telling us you were hiding this, trying to hide this from us the whole time, and you knew, we knew.
Although, to be fair,
Although
that
there is
time-
also the theory that Jack is a time traveler because of the anachronistic thing where like he mentions the lake where he went fishing when Rose is about to kill herself wasn't actually made at the time of the Titanic. So people were like, "Oh, was a Jack a time traveler and like saved her life because reasons or something?" I heard that
people
it's
read
so
way too
dumb,
much
but
into
it's
that
like
shit. It was just
It's-
a fucking error. I mean,
but man, you got to give credit though. 25 years later, and for this movie to still have this emotional powerhouse to it,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
because
Pretty good.
because I cried a few times during this. And I know, because here's the thing, it sounds like people kind of make a stereotype out of it. It seems like nowadays, like, oh yeah, you cried during Titanic. Ooh. But
Mm.
but I do gotta say, man, like I think the scene that got me most was like towards the ending, you know, the subs are going back up to the surface and that shot where like the wreck just submerges back into the darkness of the ocean. That scene had me darn near weeping in the theater because you know I'm into the actual history of the ship just as much as I am the movie. And they're saying that the wreck itself doesn't have much longer before there's nothing left.
yeah. it
So
was.
a shot like that again, where the wreck is just submerging into the darkness, it got to me, you know.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
because I mean, it's been at the bottom of the ocean for over
Mhm.
100 years.
Mhm.
You know, so I mean,
Yeah,
that salt water
Yeah.
eats away at you know.
And also
Water is
something I do find,
undefeated.
and what I do find super clever about the ending is like, because like if it all paid off in the end, because Jack was saying, I want you to move on, want you to move on, want you to go on your life. You see all those pictures of all the things she did, especially when they were talking about the horseback riding.
Mm,
She did exactly like what Jack was saying. I mean, even though
Yep.
she did move on, I mean, she had 3 kids, and she had 3 kids. She had grandkids,
yep.
and
and the guys and her actual husband is just sitting in the corner crying while she goes to Jack.
Rose.
Like freaking her real husband is there, like John Travolta, like
Rose,
But,
where are you? You
But I do want to kind of make the argument that there are actually more likable characters in this movie, aside from just, I mean, as far as the real historical people. I mean, obviously Molly Brown was really likable, but I do think a few of them were actually really likable too. I mean, Thomas Andrews I thought was great. I mean, because he had that kind of bond with Rose. He even helped her out when the ship was sinking, and
Was that Victor Garber's character?
yeah,
Okay.
he was the guy that like designed the ship,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then
We don't
and
have
then
enough lifeboats because it looked icky.
and then there's the captain, played by King Theoden himself, Bernard Hill.
And then you have that douchebag. Oh, who fucking the
Ismay?
coward? I forget his name. What was
Yeah,
it?
Ismay, Jonathan Bruce Ismay.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and also
Was
they're
that F. Murray
casted
Abraham?
perfectly too. Like every single one of them. Like when I see Bernard Hill, like it kind of goes back to how I said earlier about how I really feel like it's the Titanic brought to life again. That goes with the casting too. With the historical people, when I see Bernard Hill, I see Captain Edward John Smith. Like the casting is so good, and like. And again, that's something you may not have known about the production. Like I mentioned earlier, he gave every single extra on set that was playing random passengers and all that. He gave every single one of them their own backgrounds and backstories of like people who are really on the ship, and like he's just, so I it's certain little tidbits, little facts like that just makes me love the movie even more. But
Yeah. They had a really good cast. I mean, so it had a lot of the acting was good, not only from the two principal actors, but obviously Kathy Bates. We have Bill Paxton, Gloria Stewart as the older Rose.
oh yeah,
Barber, Francis Fisher, Bernard Hill, David Warner. I mean, you had some really veteran actors.
You did.
Ian Gruffin was in it.
Yeah.
oh yeah, like,
Yeah.
as
the guy in the boat.
Yeah.
like,
Is anybody out there? Can anybody hear me? Yeah, that guy.
yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
saw him and I'm like, wait a bit.
Yeah, it's Mr.
That was
Fantastic.
because they Mr. Fantastic, dude.
Yep.
And there was the dad that was in the first Jumanji.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh,
the guy. Okay, the guy that looks like F. Murray Abraham, but isn't F. Murray Abraham. I don't remember the actor's name, but yes, Rob, that's who I was thinking of. The
Yeah.
guy who took the coward's way out.
Yeah.
I forget his name. I don't remember the actor's
I don't
name.
remember his name, but I just remember he was the dad from the first
I wanted to say
Jumanji.
F. Murray Abraham. I'm like, no, that's not right. No way he was in there.
Officer Murdoch, William Murdoch.
Let me see.
By the way, I was right. It was John Jacob Astor. He and his wife who died on.
Oh my God, Mark got a history thing right. What a shock. Hold on,
It's
I'll be
still
right
fun
back.
to be right.
He was played by Ewan Stewart. Officer Murdoch was,
There we go.
and that's I guess that's
sorry.
kind of a thing we could kind of get into. That little controversial bit, that the fact that the officer killed himself, and the fact that that was proven to be what not really happened. Yes, Cameron got a couple things wrong in this.
I mean,
But-
you're not going to get everything right.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I'm
yeah,
not
he-
gonna. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's doing it. You got to remember, these are based on a true story. It's not me. He's not meant to just. He's not in there just recounting facts. Otherwise, there would be no Rose or Jack in there.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
But again, that's what I love about this movie. Even with the fictional characters in there having their own plot lines, he still goes out of his way to portray the real historical sides of things as accurately as he possibly could. Unlike another movie that none of us will ever speak of. Yeah.
You mean Titanic 666?
Time's up.
Anyone else? But
come on, you knew I had to make that joke.
I know, but I don't mean that. Like, I'm not going to turn this into just a whole rant about that other movie. But unlike Michael Bay, who intentionally went out of his way to get everything wrong in Pearl Harbor, Cameron actually gave a shit about respecting the legacy, the people who died, because unlike Michael Bay, Cameron actually has a heart and is a decent human being. Despite what you could say about his extremism with his films, how he could sometimes be a little preachy, he's a cool guy and he knows his shit.
Yeah, like yes, I've shit on the Avatar movies, but I have nothing but respect for James Cameron.
Yeah,
He really is a phenomenal director.
I just wish he still made good movies.
I mean, I mean, look, he clearly makes big movies people still like. Because I mean, the thing is with the Avatar movie, I said the story is the world building. Yeah. That's the story to me. Yeah, that's the real story there to me is the world building.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah, James Cameron, he is a fantastic he's a fantastic filmmaker. Yeah, he can be an asshole in real life, but I mean, he cares about his passion. Yeah. He cares about his film.
Apparently, there's a whole lost history to behind the scenes of The Abyss that we will never know about. So who knows?
James, release The Abyss on 4K, please.
And it'd be the extended cut because I like the theatrical cut just fine, but I'm like, release the extended cut on 4K.
Is that the one that has the alternate ending? Because I know about the alternate ending.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of alternate endings.
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this.
Nice,
the fucking
little.
I fucking
here.
Of the alternate
I was gonna say, who here all knows about the alternate ending for Titanic? No one.
Fucking stupid. I can tell you that.
Because here's the thing: in the movie as is, we see old Rose, go to the back of the ship and just drops the necklace into the ocean. She finally lets it go. The alternate ending is mostly the same, except you get a bit more bits with Bill Paxton, and
it's pretty much Bill Paxton and everyone catching her doing it instead of her just doing it. And it's it's like just like a bunch of people like berating an old lady for like just doing this, and it's basically so weird and out of place.
It's basically like because she shows them that she had the diamond the whole time because that's what they were out there looking for. So she had the diamond the whole time, and Bill Paxton's like, please. Now he actually has
let me hold it. Like, are you?
He actually has a funny line to it. He actually has a funny line where he's like, I don't know what to say to a woman who is about to jump out the Titanic when it's not sinking and jump back on when it is. But yeah.
Or there was the long-haired fat guy that was like, "You really suck, lady," and I'm like,
he said, "That really sucks, lady."
Or that really sucks, lady. It's just like it's so.
I like it though. I like it because I feel like it enhances the message more, not like a preachy way.
It just adds a whole ridiculous layer to the whole thing. It's very dumb.
Because she lets him hold it, and she's all like, "You look for treasure in the wrong place, Mr. Lovett. Only life is priceless. And making each day count."
Do you get it? Do you get it?
Nudge.
But yeah, like, what do you think? If this were the ending, do you feel like it would have ruined a bit of the movie in a way?
I think it would have, because they gave up on the search because they were so inspired and touched by Rose's story.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It didn't need that extra bit of like, let me hold it, and like that whole thing. And it's like, come on.
Yeah. And I guess
because I think it was better for her, her having the whole time, and she just drops it into the water. And,
because I often hear that bunched up and like topics of like good movies that would have had bad endings, or like one of the worst alternate endings ever made, stuff like that. It's always in those conversations. I'm like, that's fine. Maybe it just sounds like my bias for this film overall, but I am actually thinking about the scene, and I'm like, I like this because I like what it's at least tried to do for Bill Paxton's character. Like I feel like it kind of helps wrap his arc up a bit more. Not that it isn't in the theatrical cut at all, but I like it. So, and one last thing I do want to kind of talk about, I guess, before we wrap it up. Does does the sinking really drag that long for you guys? Because you got because
I don't really remember it that much.
because I mean it is the thing, you know,
Yeah.
the sinking of the Titanic. So I feel like it needed to be what it was, because if it was just like 30 or 15 minutes of the movie and they really like rushed through it, you know. So because I loved that the movie did that, like it really showed how these characters are struggling. And because a lot of people say, well, what's the point of trying to make it look like that, root for these characters, because you know they're going to die. But it's like, that's not the point. It's the fact that you care about these characters. And with the fictional characters in particular, you may not necessarily know what their fates are going to be. So I feel like it works. But I don't know. Like, anything else that we want to touch upon before we wrap it up, or we feel like we've all said what we wanted to say?
Who's excited for Avatar 3?
I am.
Mark.
The wanking of the wank.
Avatar 2, Electric Boogaloo. I
And
will
it
keep
was
saying
still-
that joke until somebody tells me to stop.
Avatar.
Avatar
will never do
3.
it because James
The
Cameron
Earth
will not give a
Tribe.
fuck because he's made what $5 billion fucking dollars the first two already.
Avatar.
He gives no fucks what anybody thinks.
Avatar 3. Guess what? Sam Worthington still can't act. Like really, of all the people to be the lead in your big epic blockbuster, you
I
pick
actually
this
think
guy.
he does better in those movies than it does in any others.
And who wants to
I
see
actually
him
think he does.
berate
That's the overall
his
thing.
children more? You brought dishonor to this family.
2 minutes later, I see you now. What?
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
What?
I need to get that clip for when I
Yeah, it
host.
would be a little
When I
shit.
host these, but
That was
you know,
kinda-
did you guys
that
hear,
was
by the
brother
way,
channel.
that
I would've said the
apparently?
same fucking thing.
Oh yeah. Did you guys hear, by the way, that apparently like the rough cut for Avatar 3 is like 9 hours or
Oh
something?
come on!
I doubt that.
Why?
Because here's the thing, right? Because I heard that like with pre-production and Avatar 2 and all that, they had to cut 5 hours down to 3 for theaters. And I'm like, all right, if it's 5 hours, I could see how you could cut that down to the 3
You said
hours.
there were no deleted scenes though.
Yeah, but
Like you said, there
I think
wouldn't
it's like-
be an extended cut.
yeah. Because with that, I could see how you could cut that down to like 3 hours or so. And like, how would you cut down the third movie? Which let's just say perhaps that it's going to be another 3-hour movie, maybe. How would you cut 9 hours down to 3?
How about
got
this? Hey, I got
You're
one.
assuming
I got
that
one.
it is 9 hours. Though.
Avatar 3 Part 1. Avatar 3 Part 2. Avatar 3 Part 3.
Thank you. I was gonna say the exact same thing.
It's not 9 hours. It's not going to be 9 hours.
Avatar 3.1.
3.1.
That's a stupid ass rumor. There's no fucking. Jesus.
Hey,
But,
come on! Your title is the Seed Bearer.
Oof.
That sounds like the fucking
I want to see somebody.
title for the
dance
porn
to
parody.
Thank you.
Zoe Saldana could bear.
Oh, Avatar 2. Way of the.
Put me on that.
I'm not going to finish that.
Avatar 2. Avatar. The greatness of grass.
I was gonna say Avatar 3 is
Hey.
gonna focus on the Earth Tribe,
Fire.
and the fourth one will be on
Fire.
fire.
No, the third one is fire. Next one is fire.
Yeah. And then I heard the fourth film. I assume that the fourth and fifth films are taking it back to Earth, I think.
Fifth one is gonna be Earth.
Fifth one is Earth.
Oh, right. And
Which
then-
I'm actually curious about that one. I'm intrigued with how they'll, do Earth, how bad Earth really is.
yeah.
I could just imagine the end of the fourth one. We're taking the fight to them. The avatars will return in Avatar 5. Return to
Or
Earth.
the one of the saddest cliffhangers of all time, Independence Day Resurgence. We're gonna kick some serious alien ass.
Nobody
Cricket.
saw Alien
Cricket.
Independence Day Resurgence.
No, Adam J did because he was pissed that it sucked, even though who was expecting that to be
I was
good?
gonna say who even asked for a sequel to Independence Day?
Nobody.
Apparently,
Nobody.
Adam J was waiting for it for fucking
Nobody
25
gives a
years.
fuck.
He was pissed that it sucked that bad.
I
It's like,
liked it.
dude,
I liked
Who
it.
gives a fuck?
Of course, you'll like
Nobody
it, Jack.
wanted.
Nobody
Because
wanted-
here's my thing.
Nobody
By
cares.
the way, that's
Because
another
here's my
film.
thing with.
That's another film from the 90s that I remember, that film was fucking massive. That film was huge. I mean, I remember seeing that in the theaters. The energy of that place was fucking electric. I mean, it was filled with nothing but fucking geeks, man. It was like fucking geeks.
So was that
I like
technically?
Then again,
fun
then
watching.
again, when it came to summer blockbusters in the '90s, it was all about disaster movies. So
Yeah.
Yes.
So
It
would
was
it
pretty much the
technically-
70s all over again.
So
Volcano and
before
Dante's.
Yeah, but
Titanic
Independence
came
Day was
around,
actually one of the good ones.
so before Titanic came around, was it like that? Technically, that was like the big movie of all time that was coming out for the most part before Titanic.
I mean,
I guess so.
I don't. The thing is that I didn't see Independence Day in theaters either. Although my brother had the VHS of it, and he watched it a lot.
But
So.
I mean, it
Yeah,
came
I
out the year
liked,
before. I won't say it's the big thing. I mean, there was a lot of big movies before Titanic.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Jurassic Park,
yeah,
Terminator
Jesus
2.
Christ. I mean,
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah,
Star
I liked
Wars.
Independence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
like-
Star Wars re-release. Yeah, that's right.
Oh God, yeah, the Star Wars.
Yeah, because that came out the same year as Titanic,
Yeah.
and I remember seeing Return of the
I
Jedi
remember
when I
those,
was 8
yeah.
years old.
Oh no, 99. Phantom Menace was in 99.
Yeah, Phantom Menace was
Yeah, that was
99.
99.
I was talking about the Star Wars
Star Wars
re-release.
re-release, the
Oh,
special
right.
edition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Special editions were released 97, and yeah,
Phantom Menace came out in 99.
yeah, they did. They came out
Yeah.
summer. They came out like 2 weeks apart,
Yeah.
and then they did it in preparation for,
But it's actually thing like I did like Independence Day too though, because I get
Why does that
the
not
grievances
surprise me?
because Will Smith didn't come back, and don't get me wrong, I was mad about that too. But my thing was, of course, Will Smith was my
He was
favorite
too
character.
busy getting cucked by Jada.
But my thing was is that I cared just as much about the other characters that were in the movie, like with Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman. So I was just as interested in their characters. So when I heard that they were all still coming back, that was enough for me to still get excited for this movie. And I feel like so, but that's just me. Like I know don't get me wrong, it's not the first film at all. I mean, I like it, but I will admit it's not the first film at all. There are a lot of problems.
All right, let's try to end this
let's move on.
talking about Titanic. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, we've gone over an hour.
won 11 fucking Oscars, and it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And
and I know
like,
Zach will Phantom Zone me over this, but I don't fucking care. Titanic didn't deserve to win Best Picture.
Time's up.
What?
and he's staying out for the
Good.
Skip.
I was gonna say Good Will Hunting, man.
No, L.A. Confidential. L.A. Confidential. If you have
I mean,
not
as good as it gets was really
seen-
good too.
Yeah.
If you have not seen L.A. Confidential, that is a fucking
seen-
amazing fucking movie.
I've seen LA Confidential. I still say as good as it gets was also equally deserved.
Oh yeah, because you love Jack Nicholson, so
Yeah.
I mean, that was a damn good film. He wasn't the only
I
one.
know. I'm just saying. I know you have a soft spot
I
for
think,
Jackie
too, if I
Boy.
remember correctly. And
And
did.
would you
No
also
Best Actress.
kind of make the argument that for the fact that it went way over budget with production, a lot of people thought that it wouldn't make any money. Would you say that it could still be in the argument for greatest success story in Hollywood?
no.
No. Well, in terms, I would say James Cameron would get the best success story because, like, when he was making the first Terminator, like,
Yeah.
he fucking was living on day old Big Macs, and like
Yeah.
his car got repossessed,
Yeah.
and then he went on to make now three
Two.
$2 billion movies. So like,
Yeah. Eat your heart out, Marvel.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
I don't care if Avatar 2 wins. I just want to see the Marvel fanboys cry.
Like,
At this
Oh.
point, that's the only reason I'm rooting for Avatar 2 is just to see all the Marvel fanboys crying.
Yeah, it's
go
like-
fuck yourself.
it's like this. No one gives a shit about Avatar. They said it won't even.
I laughed when
Back in
everybody
budget
said
factors,
that.
yeah.
I laughed. I
I'm
told
like,
everybody the
it's
same thing.
even like, I mean, I joked about it, but even that, I'm like, I don't know. You
James
don't
fucking
get
Cameron.
the $2 billion for no reason.
Yes.
People don't forget that shit, you know?
Yeah.
So
Exactly, and it's
Exactly.
just
I mean, the thing is, look, that's my thing. I kept telling everybody, never bet against James Cameron. People were mocking me for it. People were mocking me. Never bet against James Cameron. Sure enough, he came out and said, yeah, exactly. Never bet against James Cameron.
yeah.
Never. I mean, shit, you just don't. That's stupid.
Really
now,
stupid.
I mean,
Exactly.
who knows
Wait
about
till
the
Vader's
sequels?
in.
I don't think every sequel is going to get 2 billion. I think there will be deteriorating sales. I don't expect the next movie, it's going to make $2 at the box office. No. I think in terms of the third one, it could make 2 billion. I don't think if it does, then nice surprise. I think it'll crack 1 billion. I don't know about 2 billion.
I could see all the remaining sequels at least around the $1 billion.
At least around the
Yeah,
billion mark.
I
yeah,
think
but
what
I mean,
helped the second one hit the 2 billion mark because for one, China loves Avatar, and two,
Yeah,
Exactly.
we haven't had this is the first Avatar sequel in like 13 years.
Yeah,
Well,
Exactly.
and the
one
first
thing
time
I
we've
think-
seen
one thing I say it has on its side, inflation. Ticket prices are always going up.
There
So
we go.
I mean, by the
Yes.
time those movies come out, inflation, yeah. And plus, like you said, like Devin said, China, yeah.
They're a big fan of Avatar,
The rest of the world fucking loves Avatar. And that's just China either. Jesus Christ. I mean,
but
Yeah.
China's the biggest market right now.
And
Yeah,
I
it is.
think it's just so funny to see people still being like, fucking Avatar has no cultural relevance. It's like, does it not though?
Yeah.
It does.
I
Need
like
it?
at the very least, the fact that it constantly is made fun of the fact that it has no cultural relevance makes it have cultural relevance.
Yeah.
So it's like you are the very thing you swore to destroy type of thing. It's like
Exactly. Yeah.
you're giving
Yeah.
it the cultural relevance by saying it doesn't have cultural relevance. So it's like
Exactly, and it's
who's
like-
the real winner here?
I
James.
mean,
Yeah.
they keep shifting the goalpost. First was it's gonna fail. Now it's it has no cultural relevance. Oh, shut the fuck up, man. Jesus.
Yeah, it's just like the movie succeeded when you didn't want it to. Bite the fucking bullet.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure he'll wind up being the first director with 4 $2 billion movies.
Mhm.
Calling it now in
Yeah.
5.
I wouldn't. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be. I'm saying it for the people now. I wouldn't be surprised if Avatar 3 gets 2 billion. Do I think it will? Maybe. And if it does, then that wouldn't be a surprise.
Yeah.
But again, Devin also said we're getting it in 2024, right?
Yeah, 2024.
2024.
So it's sooner. So who knows? It's up in the air. It'll at least most definitely. I will say 100% again. Go back to this video. If you call my bullshit,
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I will say this: it'll make $1 billion. I
That's
can
fine, yeah.
guarantee you, it will make $1 billion. 2 billion is a little bit more up in the air,
Yeah.
but I guarantee you, it'll
I'll
make
give
$1
it
billion.
$1.5 billion, John. At least I'll give it at least
$1.5 billion.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
2 billion, it's a little bit more murky,
Yeah.
but I think it could do it.
Yeah.
But that's who knows. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
I'm
the
really glad-
Titanic stream, Avatar 3, ladies and gentlemen.
I honestly think I'm really interested more in seeing Avatar 4, honestly, because everything I've heard about that, they say the script is fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Lang said the script is insane for Avatar 4. They say
Yeah,
the
more
studio
Quidditch.
sent it back with no notes except one. All they said, wow. No studio notes, just wow.
I think also just Cameron is just one of those. I mean, I'm sure he's dealt with a little bit of studio interference, but he's someone that says just
Yeah,
do what
I
I'm.
Red Super.
They'll just let him do what he wants.
Yeah,
They'll lose
similar to
Sonic.
They
Martin
trust him.
Scorsese. I mean, he's just been around so long. They'll be like, okay, do what you want.
And by the way,
Killers of the Flower Moon.
He's one of
Go
the
do
few, Devin. Yeah, you're right, you guys. He's one of the few. I think they'll move Sonic 3 for that. I don't think
that's what I was actually going to bring that because I think that they are going to move it to
Yeah.
There's no way in hell that they're going to be that stupid to release it around the same time as that part.
Man.
That would be
If
like
that happened, then I will hate James Cameron for that. I will have.
that would be like the
They
same.
blame the studio. You know? I mean,
That would be like the same boneheaded move they made when they thought that Alvin and the Chipmunks 4 could go up against The Force Awakens.
Or like when they released the Missing Link, the Leica movie,
To
the same day as
Endgame.
Endgame.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? There is I have to say, there is a certain logic to releasing some movies at the same time as big blockbusters, because like big blockbusters tend to be male-dominated audiences. So a lot of times they release female-dominated films, like say romances or something, at the same time, and say, okay, well, let's try to get the women.
No.
You know, so
Jack, no, fuck them hoes.
no, Jack's playing.
But,
No, I know
Force
he's
Awakens.
doing
Oh,
something.
I know,
else.
yeah.
It was perfectly timed.
Couldn't pass that
But-
up, I understand.
Oh, and by the way, Jack, I went and checked up, and no, I do not have schizophrenia.
Cool.
Wait, hold on. What the fuck did I miss?
That
It was all the worst of the year
Yeah,
stream.
the worst of the year stream. Because like when he was talking shit about turning red, and Jack just said, "Do you have schizophrenia, Jack?" Or that,
Jack is fucking funny, man.
he's hilarious.
The kid just says whatever comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
The thing is about 13-year-olds, they make fun of you, but in an accurate way.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I'm a lady. Seriously.
Look at that man. He got feminine hips. No, that's the thing I'm sensitive about.
So
Before
before we wrap it up, I guess one last little thing I was going to joke about before we started wrapping up is that I think I remember somewhere, I think there was some kind of interview, Cameron was talking about Avatar 2 and all that, and someone legit, or at least to my knowledge, I think they legit asked him, so are you going to be making a Titanic 2 in the future? And Cameron said, "You're kidding, right?"
And they did it anyway.
And the asylum said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Oh, and wait. Before we wrap it up, I want to say something.
Mhm.
If there is one good thing about rewatching Titanic, the first Titanic again,
Other than
Well-
Kate Winslet's boobies.
well, yeah, that too. I got to introduce Zach, Mr. Miyazaki.
Princess Mononoke is
Princess Mononoke.
awesome.
Fuck yeah!
It's on my list. I'm gonna watch it
Meanwhile-
eventually.
Spirited Away is good.
Spirit Away is very good. I watched that. I saw that one.
Isn't
They
that
put it
like
on last-
considered
the
the
other
greatest
weekend.
animated
It's very
film of all
good.
time?
I love
Oh yeah.
I love Spirited Away.
I love Spirit Away.
To my
very
knowledge, I
simple
might be
story.
completely wrong, but I've heard that it's like considered the best Studio Ghibli film, at least.
Yeah,
It is widely considered the best, although I still prefer Princess Mononoke.
Awesome.
But Spirit Away is still fantastic.
Well, you know, nobody can tell Kaylee that anything is better than Kiki's delivery service.
Yeah.
We'll never convince her of that.
Before we
She's
wrap
had
it up,
that since she was a little kid.
Zach, you said
Yeah.
that like 15 times now. We actually do have to rack it
Yeah,
up.
we
wrap it
have,
up.
we have to
all
wrap
right,
it up.
yeah, I was trying to, but then
Oh, am I?
all right. So now, before we close up, I guess we will all go around, give our brief final thoughts, where we all can, we'll all promote our channels, and then we will close it up. So, my final thoughts, as someone who has practically been waiting his entire life, for the most part, to see this masterpiece on the big screen, was it worth it?
It was. And it was beautiful.
So, like I said, great cinematography, great acting, characters, practical effects, great everything. It is, without a doubt, Cameron's best film, and it is my favorite film of all time. Devin?
It's good.
Right, dude?
Okay. What Devin said.
Alrighty. John?
I was gonna make that joke, but 3 strikes and you're out. So I think it's a pretty good movie. I think it does. I don't think it does anything amazing. I think everything is very good. Romance, acting, score. I did forget to mention that. James Horner's score is great. Share a birthday. R.I.P. But it's it does a lot of things right. It does a lot of things right. It does maybe have some dumb things, but the thing is with me, it does a lot of very good things, but it never does anything amazing, but it never does anything horrible. It does a lot of very good things and maybe a couple mediocre things, but it's not a bad movie. It's an enjoyable, for as much as watching like 1,000 people die, an enjoyable thing in terms of like, the blockbuster romance action, I guess, kind of, but it's a very good experience.
Alrighty, Mark.
Very good film. Very solid. I mean, it won 11 Oscars for a fucking reason. I mean, we can debate whether or not it deserved Best Picture, but I mean, it certainly deserved to be nominated, I think. And I mean, everything from like John said, it did so much so well. I mean, best cinematography, best visual effects, best sound effects, best score, best song. Although I will always hate that fucking song. I mean,
It's a good song.
I like that song.
I will.
Yeah.
To be fair,
I'm
you were
not-
alive and can remember how that song was played.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest with you, Mark. I'm kind of on your side with that song.
Yeah, Rob remembers.
Oh,
it wasn't Rob. It was fucking everywhere.
Just imagine, like, it was pretty much Let It Go for 1997.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
I
good
hate Let It
comparison.
Go.
Good comparison.
yeah.
I hate Frozen,
There you go.
so there's that.
But I mean,
But,
I mean, like I said, I mean, the acting, it's a really good film, solid film. I mean, despite a few problems with the story, I think it's very good. Yeah, I mean, it did the sinking of the Titanic justice. So, from a historical standpoint, I'm pretty pleased.
Yeah.
So,
and to wrap it up, you can find us all on our channels linked in the description of this channel right here. And as for me, I do plan to make a more personal, like really in-depth video on my thoughts on this film, but I did want to go live to capitalize on this release date and all that and talk about it. So, and last final thoughts, Ella, what'd you think? She's purring, so yeah, she loved it.
And
one thing I forgot to mention, the sinking of the ship itself was actually very accurate. I remember thinking that the way it sunk.
Yeah,
indeed it was.
Yeah.
So,
and this is where we say what's next on for the cool kids.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned next Saturday for our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Gross.
And Rome will be hosting that one.
Yep, it will be hosted by Rome's.
I'm actually kind of excited for that
And
one.
then the week after, I will be hosting a bear double feature with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and Cocaine Bear.
Yes.
Science fiction double feature.
I got to make a new intro.
I will say
we do need to have that intro.
And I will say one of those two I enjoyed. The other I haven't seen yet, but I'm expecting it to be absolute crap. But with that being said, I would like to thank everybody for joining and for watching our review of James Cameron's magnum opus. We will see you all next time for those reviews. Until next time, I am Zach Gaxiola, and I have bad taste.
Hey.